Hello, and welcome back to the IAKPodcast. I am Daniel P. Riley of Whimsyland Literary Coaching and Services, joined by Justin, EvaleighMusic,
Howdy.
and Andrew, the Animated Moon.
Hey.
And today, we're back to comics. We did a novel last time. Now we're back to comics with Michael Oden, who has, from what I know, restarted a series called Elysian Fields Reborn. Michael, how you doing, man?
I am doing well. It kind of feels like there's a little bit missing since the last time I've been on.
Yeah.
I hope he's doing well. But it's really exciting to be back. And as you said, yes, this is actually a complete reboot of the series that I got into indie comics with. My first campaign that I ever did was called Elysian Fields Issue 0. And so that was the first book that I had done of the Elysian Fields franchise. And it did very well. And then I followed it up with Elysian Fields Pyramid Gambit, and it did not well. And did not well enough to where I almost considered quitting comics.
Oh, geez.
But then I came up with the idea of the embrace, and that was kind of like a swing for the fences moment. And we hit a homer.
Yeah, man.
And so it was definitely one of these things where over the years I've worked on all these other different projects between the embrace, writing American Bliss for Dave Brink over at Genuine Comics, editing Fiendish for Renee Stachowski,
Nice.
and writing Judex, and coming up with that concept, and then collaborating with my friends over at Global Frequency, Aaron Neff and his lovely wife Cam. Like, they're great. Learned so much from them. But like, I had, between all these experiences, I had the distance and frankly the time and experience to look back and realize there were a lot of issues with it from an artistic standpoint. There were a lot of issues with it from a writing standpoint, things that I had learned like over the course of my 5 years. And so about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I decided, like, after having a couple of people ask me about when I was going to do any more Elysian Fields, which honestly shocked me to death, because it's like, there certainly hasn't been the interest for me to go back to Elysian Fields, but whatever. After having a few people ask about it privately, I was like, all right, well, maybe it is time to go like revisit this. And I decided that I wanted to do like a full stem to stern reboot and bring everything that I've learned in comics since to the forefront. And one of the big things that I made as a decision early on was I wanted to kind of have this 90s Joe Mad style. And I like literally the day that I made that decision, I was playing Darksiders. And I was like, oh, this could actually work for like Elysian Fields. And then like the next day, a campaign came up on my Facebook feed from like an indie comics page that I followed, and there was this campaign going on that had the art team, Will Reyes, Tiago Gomez, Ruvian, doing the whole art package on there. And I just remember seeing it. I was like, that's the aesthetic that I want. Like that's perfect. And so I hit them up. We did our first character sheet of Achilles. And we steamrolled ahead from there, man. It's been such an incredible journey, and the people I have gotten to work with because of this book is honestly astounding to me. So
It's awesome. And it's interesting, at least to me, because I'm doing the same thing with a couple of my early projects that may or may not have actually gotten off of the ground. And I always talk with clients about publications and projects that they put out before they started working with me. And I've always said, as an indie, you have a bit more latitude to restart, to reboot or even just to go back and shore up what you've created with the new information that you've learned over the years. And you shouldn't be afraid to do that. And a lot of like mainstream books and traditionally published writers, they tend to not look back, and they tell people that, like, yeah, I put it out and now I don't look back, I'm on to the next project and building this thing. With us as independents, we have the opportunity to apply new knowledge and new ideas and inspirations to the things that we've already done and give an even better experience based on that. So I really like the idea of going back to the well on this. And I'm going to start sharing the screen here for a minute because I have to ask, since you did mention artistic changes. Let's get this freaking thing up here. There we go. How dramatically different are the pages from the original Elysian Fields to this as far as art is concerned? Because these are
considerably. And in fact, what I can do is to provide context. This is what I'm going to do. Let me get sorry. Let's
No, you're good.
Well, while you're looking for that, I did want to ask, how much of that was an ambition with this whole reboot? You wanted to do it bigger, badder, better? Because I was just looking at your previous work, and I do have to say this is definitely taking it up a notch as far as the composition and everything like that. This seems like kind of next league kind of stuff as far as in comparison to your other work. Was that really a part of your ambition with this? You were going to do it like you were going to really push for that?
Yes, that's literally the whole reason why I decided to do it. It was just like, I have learned so much more since then. And so like, this is actually, I'm about to share this. So this is a page from Pyramid Gambit, right? With the original, like this is the original art style. No, like I had tried to remaster these books a while back, as a way to kind of play with it, because the color work was something that we had gotten a lot of critique on, as that it was very flat. But like, so like this is a page from Pyramid Gambit. This is one of from the original thing. So like, it's not bad, but it's very clearly like it's very clear this is an indie book, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have like the composition's relatively basic. No, not a lot of actual backgrounds here. And the color work, as I said, very flat, not a lot of depth.
Yeah, you can see the difference.
And so like you compare that to, let's bring up a page from Elysian Fields Reborn here. This, which is granted a 2-page spread, but like, this one's not on the campaign because it doesn't, the way Kickstarter does, it doesn't really allow you to showcase 2-page spreads as well.
Right.
But so like the page I just shared is actually the one that comes right after this one that's on the campaigns right now. So like if you I've put in the share screen here real quick just to show this off. Like completely night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You get even here in the background, you get all of these warriors. You can see their armor set pieces, color differential to showcase like the different sides of fighters.
Perspective and depth are all a lot more crisp. Yeah.
So like that's the whole deal, is that I really wanted this to showcase how much I've grown, and that like I'm no longer the kid that was literally flying by the seat of his pants that I was back when I did the zero issue. And I have learned a great deal. during my time doing all of this. And part of that is also finding the right talent and really like harping on, you know, making sure that we've got the right composition for a page, and doing that.
I was actually curious about that as well. You know, it's kind of interesting to me. You know, you're the writer of this comic, you're the creator of this comic, but you also are hiring these artists and stuff like that. I was really curious how much your hand is in the artwork as well. If it's a matter of just kind of, okay, here's the idea, now I'm gonna, you know, hire these artists who really know their stuff. I like the style that they work with. I like their capabilities, and I trust them. Or if you're like, let's go, let's, you know, let me work with you here, and let's really figure this out.
So what I will say is that the way that I work on with projects with people is my first issue scripts are probably the most editorialized. I have a pretty concrete vision of how I want things to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also an opportunity for the artists that I'm working with to show their mettle, as it were, show what they're made of, and really try and bring these things to light. And the more work that I get from them, the more comfortable I get going, like, okay, well, I'm gonna give you more leeway now. Like I'm like, I come from a military background. I served in the Army for 6 years as an infantryman, and so we have a very big thing with stay in your lane. And the way that I see this is that my role is the writer, but I am also the project manager, which makes me the squad leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I set out my tasks to my team that I'm working with, and I tell them, like, this is what I'm looking to accomplish. I push that out. And as they meet those goals and meet them well, I give more lax on the leash, right? Like I go, okay, like I trust you, and I trust that you know what you're doing. And so, like, by the time I get to like the second or third script, I'll still have like, hey, like, this is what I kind of see in each panel. But like, I leave it way more up to the artist to just kind of make the page work.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes way less editorialized, because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to waste time bogging you down with all these details. I know you can handle it. And if I don't like something, this is why we have a review process of you sending me thumbnails to like start, and then I'll give you my notes. If there's something that I don't like, we can address it there. Like it, you know. And so that's how I go about this. Is I treat it very much like that. Like that environment is, it's, you know, everybody has a specific role. I am a writer. I do have some artistic background, but like at the end of the day, I am paying my guys I'm paying the guys I work with to be professionals. And so I'm going to treat them like professionals. And the only times that I have to overstep is when things happen where, like, you know, every artist, I think, is guilty of this at some point, where they take on too much work. And so they'll start to fall behind deadlines. That's where I can start to be a bit of a, hey man, you said that you'd have this to me. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And if you don't got a good answer for me, I go, all right, we need to address this. This actually happened towards the end of the production of this book. One of the people that we work with blowing up a lot, and and I'm very happy for him. He's doing great work, but like, it was very clear he had kind of taken on a little bit too much, and wasn't being as forthright with me about expectations on when work was going to be. And I had set down like a timeline. I was like, this is when I want to have the book done, and everyone agreed that that was manageable, and we were then past deadline. And so I was just like, all right, I understand you're blowing up. That's awesome. You're going to tell every single other person that you're working with that their stuff is on hold. You've been paid for this work, and if they have any issues, they can come talk to me. Because at the end of the day, we had an agreement. This is how this is going to be happening. Awesome. And absolute team player. He was like, you're right. Got it. Took care of it. And then we were back to full production. We were done within 2 weeks after that conversation. And like, he's awesome. Great professional. Very happy for him. He is blowing up right now, and he absolutely deserves it. He's a fantastic talent. But like, it is one of those things where that's where, as a project manager, you've got to kind of step in and be like, all right, we're not meeting our deadlines. Let's go. Like that's about the only time that I kind of start to like step in to anything on the art world that isn't in my script. Is it's like, all right, we're now behind schedule. This is like I've got to come in as the guy who's paying the checks. You need to meet the expectation.
Yep, absolutely. I've kind of the similar thing going with my artist.
Mm-hmm.
We've worked on. I just got the third comic out, so we've worked on 3 comics together at this point. I'm a bit more lenient on when I send him a dictation on what I'm expecting things to look like, and he shoots back, I think it would look better this way.
and I'm good getting that note. Like there have absolutely been times where like I'll put like let's say I have a lot of heavy lifting I want a page to do, and so I'll put on all these panels. And this is across any project. I think you'll find this with like the Embrace. Dean will be very vocal about this as well. Here, anywhere, I'll get an occasional thing where like the artist will hit me up and it will be like, hey, so I know that you're saying like X, Y, or Z, like you want all of these things on the page. Here's why this doesn't work. This is how I recommend that we remedy this. And like, so long as they showcase what they're talking about, I'm going to trust them because, again, stay in your lane. I am the writer. Yeah, I have things I want to be accomplished by the sequential art. But at the end of the day, if this guy as a professional artist is having issues telling the working the page out the way that I have it initially envisioned, that's a problem. And that's on me, not him. And so if he finds a solution, awesome, we're going to roll with it. And if it works, great. If it needs some more tweaking, then we do those tweaks. But at the end of the day, you let your people do what your people do.
Yep. That's what you hired them for.
Mm-hmm. I love there's a panel. If you go back 2 pages real quick, talking about like the artwork and such, there's one panel on here that I'm like, that's really cool. And I don't know that I've seen it in too many other places. Maybe it's common and I'm just in that one with that decapitated head flying off. The red stroke on the hair that at the edge of the panel stops. And it adds like even more depth to that head that's already popping out. I just thought that was a really nice touch to have that stroke around the hair stop instead of going outside of the panel around it.
Yeah. Like
so that caught my eye. I mean, the particle effects too are awesome. Like the horse with the spit coming off, there's all these little bits and like everything. You get like that chaos of the battle really captured and blood everywhere and splatters. And that also helps create that depth, which is nice. You're talking about the old style feeling maybe a little bit flat, and this is not at all. It's got like so much stuff going on.
Dynamic. So the color work here is insane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And pivot slightly to changes to the story, because you said that you had both artistic and narrative experiences that you wanted to address with the first book. And I'm the story guy, so let's talk a little bit about that, because I was interested in the project before. I'm even more interested now seeing these new pages that you have going on, but I want to hear a little bit more of what you bring to the story.
So probably the biggest thing that stands out right away for anyone who backed the original is I had a squad member change. So in the original Elysian Fields, Team Hades was comprised of Heracles, Theseus, and Achilles. And Theseus, the more that I was writing those books, the more I felt like I'd kind of put myself in a corner with Theseus. I didn't know how I was going to handle his story. I didn't really see where he was going to be heading. And as a result, his character came off as profoundly stale. And then there's also the aspect of, one of the critiques that I have gotten in my career is I don't write enough female characters, and female characters in comics are very good for marketing. And so the one scene that I had written for Theseus where I felt like I had done something very compelling was in the script for the third book, Pages of the Dead, where he interacts with his wife Hippolyta. And so Hippolyta is the queen of the Amazons from Greek mythology. And so as I was, going through and doing my crossing my T's, dotting my I's on my research and everything, I found out that Hippolyta actually has a fantastic connection to both Achilles and Heracles that made her a much more compelling character to bring into the series. Heracles, her connection's a bit more obvious. One of the 13 labors of Heracles is that he's supposed to bring back the girdle of Hippolyta. And in some versions of the myth, this is where Theseus meets Hippolyta, they fall in love, and that causes the Amazonomachy. But the more interesting thing was, especially as this is a story where Achilles is our central character, is that Hippolyta is killed by her sister Penthesilea. Penthesilea then becomes the queen of the Amazons.
Yep.
And she ends up in a place called Troy, where she's killed by Achilles. So you have this fantastic dynamic where the person who killed Hippolyta and who is one of her genuine sisters is a person that not only Achilles killed, but according to the story, when Achilles killed her and realized who she was and saw her for her beauty, was immediately filled with regret as he kind of fell in love with the idea of this woman and what a life with her could have looked like. And so now you have this whole very interesting dynamic set up between these two where, this is one of the few people Achilles has ever regretted killing. If not the only person Achilles has ever regretted killing. And then, the version of the story that we're going with Hippolyta is that she and Theseus ran off together because she was about to have a baby. The Amazons wouldn't accept it. So this sparked the war of the Amazons. And so Penthesilea kills her, and it's an accident. She's trying to defend Theseus from Penthesilea. And it's like a whole thing where this is a mark of great shame for her because she betrayed her sisterhood to protect her son and her husband. And so one of the big reasons why she is in this tournament is to redeem herself in the eyes of the Amazons. So this guy being the person that cut down her sister is a big deal.
Nice. I like it. I love the design too.
Yeah. I'm very proud of this one. I wanted it to be comic booky, but so one of the big things that classical historians believe is that the Amazons were based off of Scythian warrior women. And so I took a bunch of different artistic renditions of Scythian warrior women and kind of mashed them up with some classical Greek iconography. So you get, Hellenic steppe horse archer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome. Dynamic. And how closely are you following the mythology? I know obviously the story is unique, so you're going to diverge off into your own narrative theme.
When it comes down to handling the characters on an individual micro level, I am very, very authentic. I try very hard. The amount of research that I have done in preparation for this, and we have a spin-off Song of Hippolyta that we're also working on. The amount of research that I have done is enormous. I'm going through and I'm reading all sorts of things because at the end of the day, while I am writing these characters and they're in my little story playground, I have a job to represent them authentically, right? Regardless of blowback on everything. Achilles, one of the big aspects of his character that it is a matter of debate that has gone back ever since antiquity is the nature of his relationship with Patroclus. I personally, based off of everything that I have read, mind you, having read the Iliad over dozens of times, I personally believe that he absolutely did have romantic relations with Patroclus. Like the subtext is there, so we present that. Now, is that the dominant thing of his character? No, but we bring him there because the whole point is that when he dies, he's brought to this area of peace. And to really sell this, we showcase him in this kind of eternal memory where, it's him and Patroclus training with Chiron when they were kids. And so, like, you have this romantic moment set between them to establish, he's not going to, like, he doesn't want to leave this because we have to give him something that he doesn't want to separate. That's something that's precious to him.
Right.
And so in this way, I craft a narrative that is authentic to the myth. And I'm not injecting any craziness to it. I'm not trying to make this different than what he is. He's still very much the vain, prideful, rage-filled dude that is written about in the Iliad. But we're exploring him as a human, and that's part of his humanity is the relationships that he has.
That's cool. I like the design of the armor.
I had such a blast with this. So, like, because most people exposure to the Trojan War is the god-awful 2004 film Troy, people don't realize that when Hector kills Patroclus, he strips Patroclus of Achilles' old armor. And so Achilles has to get new armor. And so he talks to his mother Thetis, who makes an appeal to the smith god Hephaestus. And so Hephaestus smiths him this beautiful armor made out of Olympian bronze and gold, and gives him this very ornate shield. And like literally there's an entire chapter and a half written on just Achilles' shield and how it foreshadows the doom of Troy. But so what I wanted to do is I took this as an opportunity to really fantasy up Achilles' armor, because like this is the perfect excuse for it. So like with his helmet, I went and I combined a few very classic and iconic Grecian style helmets from like the later Hellenistic period. And then for the cuirass, I wanted it to be very much lion themed, because one of his eponyms is the lion-hearted Achilles. So I really wanted to play into all of these different facets of his character, and it's made out of this very shiny and ornate material to showcase that, he's this very pride and vain fighter. It barely has a blemish on it because nobody's able to hit him. He's so fast. And that's something that we also establish is, again, going into those Homeric monikers, his other really big one is the swift-footed. So like immediately when you have him fighting Memnon in the first 12 pages, like Memnon makes his challenge and then Achilles starts to charge at him, and like in the blink of a page turn, Achilles is already at Memnon doing his first strike, and Memnon's like, holy shit, what? And he's just not able to keep up because speed is Achilles' greatest weapon. So this even factors into his design. It looks decently armored, but it also looks like he would be able to maneuver very well in it. Everything is designed to, benefit his fighting style. We gave him a Copus sword so that it is good for slashing, because again, moving fast, you don't want to be stabbing at people as much. You want to be slashing. But then you have his spear, which is a special weapon that he was given by his father that only he can use according to the Iliad, which jabbing weapon, but we wanted to make sure that it's got that dual edge for, again, the slashing purposes. And then his shield is almost like a pelta. It's very small. And that all of those were conscious decisions because we wanted to make sure that this man looks like he can run.
Makes perfect sense. And it works really well in contrast with the other characters here. I mean,
Heracles looks so freaking cool. This is the best design Heracles ever, and I don't like any. You can add me. I don't care what you say. This is the best Heracles has ever looked. I will fight you. Like it's so good. I was really proud. So right off the bat, I knew that the big thing I wanted to do is Heracles doesn't really wear a lot of armor in Myth. But what he does wear is he wears the pelt of the Nemean lion, which is said to be impenetrable. And so I wanted it to be that his Nemean lion cloak covers him, and then like the head of the lion acts as his helmet. So like you see like his eyes are matched up to the Nemean lion's eyes and everything like that. So it just pulls right down over his face. And so he's wearing that as his helmet. But then when we were doing the colors, I was telling Ruvian, I was like, I want you to give the Nemean lion pelt a metallic sheen to make it look like it's organic, yes, but it has this kind of metallic glow and texture to it.
Right. It imparts a sense of durability.
I will say what I'm really impressed by in terms of the designs is that I see so much influence from so many different things. You have that classic Grecian look, but you also kind of have that almost classic sword and sorcery look as well. And of course, you know, the sort of 90s comic energy as well. And it's blended together quite well into a modern style. I think you and your team did a very good job of drawing from all those things that you know, everyone kind of either grew up with or, you know, is familiar with and merged it in. It doesn't feel alien in that sense, but it feels very fresh. It's actually very cool to see.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Thank you guys.
Damn fine art team.
Dude. It's been such an incredible thing. And like when I got the proof copies, it was mind blowing. It was like having so there's a magic to when you get your physical books in the first time, right? Like, but like it never quite matches the first time you get your first book. And this is the closest that's ever come to that. Like it was very emotional for me, and like flipping through and seeing just how great this art looks like on the printed page.
Yeah. I can imagine there's a tremendous incentive to pick up a physical book just from the art alone and everything.
This is the physical book right here, and 8.5 by 11 prestige format, 44 pages of story, 56 from cover to cover. They're gorgeous books.
I feel like with comics too, I mean, you got to knock the art out of the park. If you have a good story, that's very important. But
100%.
I feel like if the art isn't there, just getting somebody to even care about the story that's a massive hurdle. And you guys definitely cleared that. So it's like
this is accurate, and I'm very confident that if somebody saw this on a shelf, they'd be like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, dude, that covers.
Just like pick it up and go,
dude. It's mean.
Oh man, how much is this?
Yeah, the detail, layering, position of the characters, it's all absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
the fire on it is awesome too.
Yeah,
like, I don't know that I've seen fire depicted quite like that. It looks a lot like fire, but it's stylized. It almost looks liquidy, but it's
the coolest part
really cool.
about this, Justin, is that so for stretch goals, I think I talked about this when I was doing the Embrace 2 with you guys, was I don't like doing all the tchotchkes, and I have a couple of them on this campaign because I had people complain the last one. But I still wanted the main thing to be cover upgrades. And so this is the first one that gets upgraded, I think at like 3,500. And when I did the 0 issue, the big stretch goal we had was that we made every book lava holofoil. And so if we hit the 3,500 stretch goal, or it might even be the 4K stretch goal. I can't remember off the top of my head. Whatever the cover upgrade is, that cover upgrade is this book becomes a holofoil, like a lava pattern book, and with this cover, that is just going to sing.
Yeah.
It is going to be the prettiest damn thing you've ever seen. It's going to be the belle of the ball, Justin.
The other, I mean, all the covers on here, that one is my favorite, but they're all pretty awesome. The second one with the slash coming at you, like you're about to get hit by it, you know?
This is, so V. Ken Marion is one of the most talented artists I've ever had a chance to work with. And he's a big name right now. Like what Jorge Jimenez is right now to Batman, V. Ken Marion is for Green Lantern right now. So like to get a cover by him was cool enough. To reach out to his agent with like pictures of our interior art and the main cover and be like, hey, just out of curiosity, does V. Ken Marion have any availability for a cover? And if so, what are his rates? And to have his agent go, what the fuck is this? Tell me more. Awesome. Like, we're interested. Please tell us more. And I gave him the pitch, and then I was like, yeah, sold. We negotiated everything. And man, picking which cover layout for V to do was very difficult because he gave me he's like, here are the 4 ideas I had, and like every single one of them was like, yeah, of course. And even his thumbnails, they're like a little low res ideas of his things, so they still just look fantastic. I'm like, dude, fuck you. How am I supposed to? I ended up picking this one because like all the other covers we have really highlight the team. But with this being the first issue and it's being an Achilles-driven narrative, I wanted to make sure that we had a cover that focused solely on Achilles. And like, this is so beautiful. And then you get Andrew Dahlhaus did such a tremendous job with the color work, like really just next level stuff.
It is. Absolutely. It's an evocative cover, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then we got this one. Vaughn Randall and Robert Nugent just did not have to go this hard, but they did. Vaughn is an old friend of mine. He actually, when I did Elysian Fields issue 0, he was the first person I ever had do a variant cover. I had him do a variant for the black and white edition of the book. And it was such a beautiful piece. And so when I was doing this reboot, he was like the first person I hit up. And it has been awesome to see because Vaughn's star has truly risen in the time that I have known him as like small indie artist working on a book with my buddy and letterer SK called Terra Olympus. And now he is a prime-time McFarlane artist doing like covers and occasional interiors for Spawn. Nice. So it's been really cool seeing him rise, and it's been amazing to have him come and do these covers. And he even it did me a huge favor. Like, he did it completely traditional, and that piece is for sale on the campaign. So
very cool.
Very excited about that. 3 of the 4 covers are for sale on this campaign, and they're all it's one of those things where I want them to sell, but I also don't want them to sell because it just means that they're mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I love the design. The dude at the top there, is that Hades floating around in the back there? There's a little
that's Hades.
The way his head is just like a silhouette in the flames, but you can still see the smile in the eyes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool lighting on the whole thing, just like the way it feels very bright, you know.
Yeah.
A little I don't know what the word is for it. But yeah, that's a nice touch.
Robert Nugent, also a Spawn colorist, did a tremendous job on this cover. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing with so much fire effect that the gradient shading in the background doesn't mute any of it. It all pops really well.
Yeah. It is fantastic, and you really can't go wrong with any of these covers. They're all just stunners.
Yeah.
Which is why you should buy all of them. You can do that.
Yeah, this
you don't even have to get the Coffer of Glory tier. You could just add all the covers in one package. I allow you to do that because I'm a nice guy. This one I need to give a big shout out to, and I make sure that I do this on every stream because there's a story with this one. So the big thing I wanted to accomplish with this cover is Hades. The Supergiant Games had Hades 2 go full platform literally days before we launched this campaign. So I wanted to make sure that we had a cover that paid homage to the art style of the Hades games because it's very evocative. It's very clean. It's really interesting modern take on Greek myth. So I was like, yes, we have to do this. And so I ended up finding this guy, Zach, on ArtStation because he had submitted some fan art pieces to a contest. Didn't quite clear, but like, man, he was good. Like the art was almost identical. And I was like, yeah, all right. So I hit Zach up. Turns out he's like a 20-year-old art student. And this is his first professional gig.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Nice.
So like, and he did everything. Pencils, inks, colors. This is all Zach.
Dang.
Freaking incredible.
Yeah.
He is.
I love the coloring, how it's got this kind of vector look to it, which is nice. It's very distinct feeling compared to the other covers.
I'm a sucker for thin line work and the bold kind of bleeding blacks, as I would call them. You know, the way that it, you know, just kind of folds into the background in certain spots. No, that's a very good composition. That's very cool.
And the perspective from the lighting of it all, you know, the focal point being the I guess summoning flame in his palm. You can just see where everything radiates outwards.
It's a very strong cover.
Good. Real good. So let's see. Let's get into some reward tiers here.
Yeah. I make it very affordable, guys.
Yes, $5 digital. Fantastic. 15 for the main cover.
And I should note that it's 15. 15 is the cost of every single cover of this book, and you get a digital alongside. So you're effectively paying $10 for the book, $5 for the digital, and that is across everything. I am very much of the impression that like if you went and you invested in getting a very nice variant, everything like that, like unless you're planning on making that like a very limited and exclusive cover, you have no right charging and accept like a extra like $10 or $15 for that cover. And because part of that investment is the trust that by investing in these people that A, they're going to help market, and B, that their followers are going to see this and buy it. And I would much rather have 1,000 of these guys' followers purchase my book for $15 than 100 of them purchase it for $30.
That's fair.
That's cool.
Like,
yeah, because I've seen a lot of comic covers where I'm like, yo, that A cover is sick, but $50 versus cover D being 15. I'm like, ugh, I can't sprint for that.
I feel like that's such a it's not a practice that I personally like. I understand why people do it because it is very expensive. You make a crazy investment as an indie guy for some of these guys, and like versus V. Ken Marion, not cheap. Very not cheap. But like at the end of the day, it's V. Ken Marion. If that cover doesn't recoup its investment, that's on me. I've done something wrong, right? Like because I should be able to go out there and push that. And the fact that it's V. Ken Marion and Andrew Dahlhaus, that should make for an immediate decision from people to go like, yes, we're buying that one.
All right. Real quick, is it shown somewhere in a larger format of the I guess
it's not
this first t-shirt? I can't really see what's on there.
So it's You know what? This is what I will do. Hold on. Because I've got the actual graphic. So it's from the second 2-page spread of the book with Achilles kind of doing a slash across Memnon's chest. But here we go. Pull this up and then I will screen share.
Just curious. Okay. Boop. Ah,
So
okay.
So it's this just going straight across your chest.
That's cool.
You get murdered by Achilles. It's a great t-shirt.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this scene also has one of my favorite bits of dialogue in the first book, where like he's just completely outclassing Memnon, and he says, "You reek of a man pretending to be a lion."
Nice. Yeah, just a just a little piece of advice. I would blow that up and put it somewhere for people to see, because that's a really cool picture. And I think it's going to make sales of that shirt skyrocket.
That is fair, and I might have to do that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That is a part of the Coffer of Glory tier as well. So like if you get the box that's got everything in it, that you get all the covers of the book, three standees that are of each of the characters.
Nice.
And then you get the Achilles slash across the chest tier t-shirt.
Nice. Oh, and I see the panoply upgrade with metal cover editions.
Yep. So you get all the normal cover editions, and then each cover also gets a metal cover. So you effectively get 8 books in that.
Damn. It's actually not bad for $300 too, with knowing what I know about the production of metal covers and whatnot.
I've got people.
You always need to have people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So yeah, these are the individual art piece.
Yep. So
rewards. Nice.
So that's to get Will's pencils for the main cover of the book. So if you've got the cash and you want to, that will put us over our funding goal.
True.
What are the I don't see the dimensions. Is it 11 by 17 standard
size?
Or is
all of these are 11 by 17 pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. You know, honestly, this version actually looks better, in my opinion, now that I've seen it, than the full color spread.
That's how Von Randall's art works, man.
It's
the magic.
Amazing.
I think they're both great.
Shading. Yeah. But I think it's just because of his shading. It's just like so much more dynamic. Wild.
Yeah.
It's got a I don't know the word for it.
Such a good job. If you guys haven't seen his art, like I highly recommend following him on socials. He is just tremendous, and like he'll just like put out like a fan piece, not even like a commission. He'll just do like a fan piece of like, what the fuck, man? Like he has a whole series.
I got bored.
Yeah, like he has a whole series where he did like all of the Hokage from Naruto. And there's some of like my favorite art. They weren't commissioned. It was just him being like, "Yeah, I like Naruto. I'm a huge weeb." And like drew and colored all of them. And I'm just like, "Dude, why aren't you doing colors?" And he goes, "I don't have time for that."
Yeah,
it does take time.
Yeah, it's almost got like a classical Japanese feel to the movement of it.
Yeah,
black and white there. It looks
absolutely.
Yeah. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's very like it all flows.
And then there's the V. Ken Marion pencils, which are so fucking pretty.
Beautiful. Very nice. All right.
That's actually really cool. I'm kind of geeking out about the markings that are on it for the dimensions and stuff like that. Seeing the actual like layout with the anti-photo blue pencil markings and stuff like that. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So stretch goals. I know you said one. You're looking at the foil upgrade.
Yes.
So, and Hype Man sticker here at your 3,500.
So like the Hype Man is like my favorite part of the is like the secret favorite part of the book for me, because he literally just shows up. He's in the first 2-page spread where Achilles is coming in on the chariot, and like my buddy pointed at, like, when I sent it to one of my best friends, he was just like, I'm more excited for this than this guy, and circled him. And I was just like, oh my God. And so like the Hype Man became like one of the, like, I need to use him in more things. It's like, I'm going to use him for marketing. He's going to be great. Like, so he is the Hype Man of Elysian Fields. And I told Will, I was like, we need to make sure that we Where's Waldo him, and like just have the Hype Man there.
Fantastic. That'd be fun to put on my laptop bag. It's where I keep most of the stickers I get from campaigns and stuff. They all go on the laptop
more than
bag.
fair.
Mm-hmm. So Angel Incarnate bookmark.
Yes.
Right here.
So Angel Incarnate is she has a very popular comic that she does for her Patreon called Hound of Achilles. And her art is fantastic. Really, really like her style. She has a very unique take on the characters of the Iliad. I fucking love it. A buddy of mine introduced me to her work. But like a while back, she had posted a thing of her version of Achilles modeled after. There's this very famous panel of Batman that's like on a thin panel of him running towards, like, I'm the model of mental health. And so she did that with Achilles, and I was like, all right, I need to have that with my version of Achilles. And so I commissioned her to do this. I'll pull up. Here we go.
Yeah, she's got some cool stuff.
Yeah. The way that she's deciding to go about portraying the gods in her comic is like very unique, and I fucking love it. Yeah, so at 3,500 or at 4,500, everyone gets this bookmark.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Great deep lines when necessary.
Yeah, she did a great job on this.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, I want to bring this back up and one sec. There we go.
So out of curiosity, are you looking at this, going forward, telling a larger story?
Oh, absolutely. This is the only thing that I have worked on so far that I envision as a full-on, like, ongoing.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So I have 3 of the first 5-issue, maybe 6-issue storyline already written. So then I also have a spin-off book that I announced today, The Song of Hippolyta. I guess technically announced it last night. And we have a fantastic artist assigned for that. And when we do fund, I will announce it. So like incentive. But nice. I will show off a page that she did this test page for us, because I did a profile for Hippolyta for the second as like I was doing the second book, and I got to where I wanted to end the story, but I was like 10 pages short of where I wanted the book to be. But I didn't want to touch the rest of it. Like, everything else was so well paid. Like, it was exactly what I wanted it to be. So I was like, okay, well, everyone knows who Heracles is. Everyone knows who Achilles is. Nobody's going to know who she is. And so I went and I did this very brief, like 12-page story to introduce her. and give people insight into her character and where her head is at. And so I did that. And then when my editor was reading book 2, he gives me a call and he goes, "This profile on Hippolyta, we need to talk about it." I was like, "What, is it bad?" He goes, "No, you need to make her own book because she's like the best character that you've like. This is one of the best things you've ever written. You need to do this." And so then, I got reinforcement that my fiance, she was like, "No, like you need to, like, yes, you need to do that." And so, she actually helped me find the artist for this. And man, when I had her do the test, because I had her do a test page from that profile, and she penciled, inked, and colored it, and it is fucking astonishing. Like as good as
that's. I was going to ask. That's finished as well, then, or at least it's in production.
We're in the middle of producing it right now, and in fact, one of the stretch goals, like a higher end stretch goal that I'm looking at doing, is adding, allowing for an exclusive ash can of that story before it happen, before you get it in book 2.
Nice.
But that'll be a much higher stretch goal thing, like probably around like I think that the last one of my book upgrades is at like 6,000, so probably around 7K. I would say I'd unlock that, and you guys could. The idea would be you could add it on to your tier for like $5. It wouldn't charge you any extra shipping or anything like that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Sounds like a incredibly well designed story. I know you said that you went back and shored a lot of this up in the addition of Hippolyta. It's kind of cool though that the addition of Hippolyta is taking you into a whole nother direction too.
Yeah, no, like, and that was the whole thing, is like she is a fascinating character, and the more that I've read about her, the more I'm like, man, she is fucking, like, I like it. Her story is very tragic, and like everyone around her, very tragic, which is my jam. I'm the sad man in comics. So like it's been very fun, like doing the research and be like, man, this would play so well into this. And so like the Song of Hippolyta is really all about her kind of having this kind of post-life crisis where she's facing all these different aspects of herself and trying to figure out who she actually is while she's fighting a tournament. Like, and don't take that as, oh, this is going to be a boring slice of life. Like, it starts off and she's fighting a bunch of freaking Mongolian warriors in the arena. So like let me tell you, like, a Song of Hippolyta is very action packed, but it's also a very human story, and it's her kind of, battling all these different aspects of things, and how, she did what she did in life to try and give her child a chance. And if you know anything about the story of Hippolytus, it does not go well for her child.
No, it doesn't.
So it's one of these things where it's been a lot of fun to play with.
So real quick, because we're well into the show here, but as far as production time, because you've got the Embrace, I don't know if you have anything else that you're working on at the same time.
I have other things as well. I have many pokers in the fire. This is a year where I'm looking to really expand. In terms of production timeline, the book's done. As I showed you, I have these are all 4 of the covers. They're right here. Everything's good. We're doing one final pass for grammatical errors and stuff as we get closer to the end of the campaign. But like book is done. Once we have the funds, print order will be made and fulfillment will begin. So probably mid-June, latest early July.
Nice.
So that's that. In terms of the Embrace 2, we are a little bit behind on that. Dean, the artist, had a very rough end of 2024. He got very, very sick, and then his tablet crapped out, which had, of course, all of his pencils, for like a good quarter of the pages that he lost.
Oh no!
So he is having to. He not only did he like lose the pages he had already finished, a good chunk of those, he lost all of the pages that he had been working on.
Dude, that sucks to hear. I had a computer do that to me one time too. The motherboard fried or whatever, and it burned up the hard drive, and I lost probably 2 years of like sketches and stuff. So you just say that, I'm like, holy crap! I know that feeling, and it is the worst feeling.
Yeah, so he's a little behind, as you can imagine.
Poor guy.
He's got the talent. He's been working. He's been doing a really good job of getting pages up. And Eugen's been doing some great color work as well. Very excited. I'll be doing another update for the Embrace 2 here, probably at the end of about midway through this month, because we're in April now. But we're hoping to have all the line art done either by the end of this month or the end of next. It depends on how it really just depends on how long it takes for Dean to catch back up.
Fair enough. And so with doing multiple projects like this, are you staggering your time between them based on your artists' deadlines and everything?
Pretty much. Like there are certain things that I kind of I actually have like a little bit of a head start on book 2 of Elysian Fields. Will, the penciler, was like, hey, I really need some work right now and everything like that. So we've got about, I'd say 8 or 9 pages of the next book penciled. And 6 of them you'll actually get to see in the book, Elysian Fields book, Reborn 1, as a nice little thank you. But the other stuff, it's just a matter of there are plans put in place. There are things that I can't really talk about because one of them it requires me to get a license that I am in the middle of negotiating, and it is a bear. Not fun. It's very difficult, but it'll be worth it. But it's just one of those things where one of the good parts about ADHD is I have tons of ideas, and when I get bored of an idea, I have to shift on to something else, and then I can come back to it. And so that's been my superpower in indie comics, is that I'm constantly able to just come out with new stuff, and I get really hyper focused for a bit. And then I move on to something else, and then I come back to it and really hyper focus for a bit. And that's been how it is.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm similar when it comes to novels. I usually only work on one thing for about an hour, and then I've got to do something else because I start to get bored and frustrated with myself. So I'll just move on to a totally different story.
I completely understand. And that's the whole thing, is I started writing a prose novel recently because I had a very good idea for one. I got 20 pages in, very happy with where I'm at, but I had to stop. It's so much more work than doing the comic scripts. I can pump a comic book script out in a day and a half. If I've got the as my fiance Miranda says, if I've got the HD running, right, I will just hyper focus in, and I won't even eat. I'll just straight up boom. The second issue of Elysian Fields, I wrote in the span of a day. I woke up at 4 a.m. with just a light bulb, and I went, "This is fucking perfect," and I just didn't stop. It was a weekend that my son wasn't here, He was with his mom, and so I woke up at like 4 a.m. and like I just kept going, and then all of a sudden it was done, and I sent it out, and people were like, "Dude, what the fuck? Like, this is fantastic, but like you need to take better care of yourself." And I was like, "It doesn't matter. It was worth it. Just read it."
That's great. Justin, Andrew, you got any more questions for Michael?
The only one that I have that I ask pretty much everybody is, obviously this seems like a pretty strong R rating. We got heads getting lopped off and things like that, pretty bloody battles. Is there also nudity, language, or is it just the violence that would get it over?
Just really
over
the
rating?
violence. The only thing that we have with that is like, violence. There's some suggestive content in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really in the first book, but in like I think it's either the second or the third book, Heracles tries to make a move at Hippolyta and gets kneed in the nuts. So there's nothing that's overt on any of the stuff. Yeah, the violence is there. It's a battle book. Like,
yeah, oh yeah, sure.
you've got heroes of antiquity destroying one another. But yeah, so that's where I would put it, like heavy PG-13, low R.
Okay, cool. I always like to know that, because a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I'm interested in this. Could I also hand it off to my nephew or to my kid?
No,
and if so,
not unless
some people
I
are
would
cool
say
with,
like if they're like 12 or 13, sure.
yeah, some people are cool
like-
with the violence, and it's just the other things, which everybody's different, but I always ask.
I was going to ask, kind of similar to Eveleigh. I always I like to think about this, especially in the context of independent creators and stuff like that. Obviously this stuff is tough, right? It's hard to make this stuff happen. So I wanted to know what you, if you had any advice or any thoughts to bring up when it comes to creating this stuff. Methods you have, or just good stuff to know.
I would say that the biggest piece of advice that I could give anyone, especially as a writer in this industry, is that it's a marathon, not a sprint. You, as a writer in indie comics, you are not just the writer, you are everything. And that means that you need to be patient. Instant gratification of the crowdfunding boom back in 2020 has left a lot of people with unrealistic expectations of what to expect from their crowdfunding campaigns. That's not how that works all the time. And you need to be patient. Another thing is that you need an editor. And when I say editor, I don't mean a glorified spell checker. I mean somebody that will sit you down and tell you, hey, I understand what you are trying to say with this story. You're not doing it well. Let's talk about how to do this well. Because nobody's above that. The red pen is your friend, and you need to get over your ego. If it's not too good for the people like Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, any of these people who have been on New York Times bestseller list for comics, it's certainly not above you. Please,
100%.
for the love of God, get an editor. So yeah, those are my two big pieces of advice. Manage expectations, be patient, persevere, and please, for the love of God, get an editor. I have backed way too many indie books that have given me aneurysms. So
I'm here to help.
Absolutely.
It's good advice, though. Very good advice. I always come at it from the perspective of you're too close to your own project to see what's wrong with it.
I mean, there is that too, but I think that the big thing is that everybody thinks that they're the top dog, for whatever reason. Like, artists all hate their work for whatever reason. Writers have like the biggest self-inflated egos I've ever seen in the indie sphere. So it's like, it was funny. A buddy of mine that I wrote a script for, showed it to an editor that he's working with, and like he gave him his notes on what I had done, And he was just like, I don't know if you can do this. Like, do we just have to give the notes to Michael? He'll write it. He's already rewritten this thing 9 times for me. And the editor just goes, no one rewrites a book 9 times. Like, tell that to him. He did it. And I was just like, yeah. Like, at the end of the day, I'm an infantryman. You tell me a thing is messed up. You tell me that I need to fix X, Y, or Z. I go fix. But
yeah.
Anyways, I actually have to go. I've got stuff I've got to take care of. But I really, really appreciate you having me on again. It was a pleasure hanging out with the usual offenders and Animated Moon. What is your name again, bud?
Andrew. My name's Andrew.
Andrew, thank you. It has been a pleasure to meet you. Your questions were very good. I do not usually get stuff like that. It was really fun getting to engage with you. I hope I get to do it again soon.
It was great having the conversation. You were an excellent guest to have on.
Yeah, dude.
This was fantastic.
That is why we brought Andrew onto the show.
Well, it is much appreciated. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to head out and then
we'll wrap it up from here.
I will catch you guys here again here soon.
All right, dude. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. It's good talking to you again.
Absolutely. Bye. Justin, we still need to get drinks. I haven't forgotten.
Yeah, right. We go figure it out sometime. There's got to be a con or something at some point, or who knows.
I'm going to be at Shenandoah Comic-Con here next weekend. So
all right, let me see. I'll look into it.
All right. Cheers.
All right. Take care, dude.
All right. Well, we can wrap the show up now. We'll start with Andrew. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me over on YouTube primarily. I tend to stream. Actually, I've been kind of all over the place. I've been trying to stream more when YouTube isn't completely deciding to destroy my uploads. But yeah, you can find me streaming over on YouTube at The Animated Moon. You can also read the comic that I've been working on for about 4 years now. Good grief, has it really been that long? The Blind King over at theanimatedmoon.neocities.com. Everything up to where I'm at finished with chapter 3 is there, and then I'm working on the rest of chapter 3, which I'm very excited about. Super excited to share that. And then obviously on typical socials, Twitter, Blue Sky, The Animated Moon. Even Kara. So need to post more, honestly. I've been kind of neglecting that. But yeah.
Awesome. Justin, your turn.
All right, so I am EvaleighMusic. If you type in the word Evaleigh into whatever platform you listen to music on, you can find all my tunes there. It's rock, it's metal, there's some chiptune stuff. There's even some lo-fi in there, so there's a little something for everybody. The newest release on their Lift is kind of a mix of all the different styles I've dabbled in over the years, making music for other people. In addition to doing the music, I am also Tuesday nights on the YouTubes on a show called Iron Seas over there with Ultimate Kahuna as well as AC Pritchard. We also have indie guests on there. We watch a movie, we discuss the movie, and then we showcase some indie works and talk about just different topics, just things that are on our mind or things that are going on with the scene or whatever it happens to be. And we have a bit of an unhinged but fun time over there every Tuesday night, 9:30. So
awesome. And I am Daniel P. Riley of Whimsyland.org, Literary Coaching and Services. I am an author as well as writing coach and editor, here to help you create the very best project that you can put out there. And yes, I will red pen you to death if I have to.
As you should.
Also, real quick, the third comic issue of my G Sedai adaptation is available through Fund My Comic right now. Campaign's running until the end of April. I rarely get time to actually shout it out or get on other people's shows to talk about it with my very busy schedule. So just wanted to mention that. And for the fans of the series, I will be finished with and publishing the third book, closing the Angel War arc in just a month, 2 at most.
Nice.
So by the beginning of June, you will have the final part of the Angel War arc of Aes Sedai in your hands.
Cool.
Tomorrow morning, if you want to hop onto my personal YouTube channel, if you enjoy this sort of thing, I will be sitting down with my bros from my men's group doing our Coffee and Christ on a Sunday morning show. But otherwise, have a great weekend and back Elysian Fields Reborn. This looks amazing. He's really stepped up his game and he's so close to the finish line. I'm going to get my copy soon, give him that little bit boost. I encourage everyone else to do the same and have a great weekend.
See you guys.